Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it has been over 1 month since I have filmed, but a lot has been going on, and as you can tell by the title, today's video we are going to talk about the birth story of my son. And as some of you guys know, I'm going to reveal the name. His name is Liam. The meaning behind his name, Liam, is strong-willed warrior, and he definitely is a strong guy. From things that he went through, he's definitely a strong little boy, and I am here to testify, to tell you guys the story about him and the birth story of the traumatizing story that happened, that, praise the Lord, that, it has a good ending. And towards the end of the video, I will be inserting some videos of him. Currently he's sleeping, so I'm not going to wake him up or bother him, but I will have some pictures, videos of him towards the end of the video, so you guys definitely want to stay for that. But let's get right into the video. So it was December 27th, and my mom was here. We were at TG Maxx, and we were just shopping around, and I went to the bathroom, and I just felt really intense intense things, just really a lot of pressure down there. And I would hear a lot that when you're gonna give birth, because I'm like, how do you know what if it's fake? How do you? And when they said I would understand, because I'm like, maybe I'm in labor now, how do I know? But it's hard to explain. But for the moms that been through it, you will know. But I was feeling really different, a lot of pressure down there and pain, but it was every 10 minutes I would feel there were contractions. And I was like, maybe it's just fake contractions, whatever. And but that morning they did a membrane swap for the second time, and I guess that really pushed, got the contraction started. For some parents it works, some parents it doesn't. For me, the second time, she really got in there. She really, woke him up, I guess you can say. And so we were going toward the checkout, and my mom bought some stuff, and we were going towards the checkout, like I said, and I started feeling bad contractions, but I didn't realize that they were contractions. I was just in pain, and I was it was towards the end of my pregnancy, and everything hurted. So I was whatever. But it got to a point where when my mom was buying stuff, I couldn't function. I couldn't stand. I was in so much pain. I couldn't literally stand up. It was so difficult. So I'm like, Mom, give me the keys. I'm gonna go in the car. I went to the car, and they went away. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's just fake contraction, like I said. And I got in the car, waited for my mom. My mom took her sweet time, not knowing that I'm literally, it's happening. And we came home, and it started to be so painful that I couldn't stand. I couldn't stand. It was really, really painful. And I was laying down, and that day I didn't really eat. I ate a bite or two of a sandwich, but that's about it. My plan was to come from TJ Maxx home and have a couple bites of food. I came home, I was having my contractions, I couldn't stand, so I didn't feel like eating or nothing. I was just in so much pain. And my husband was at Safa with his friends, and I texted him, yo, I think it's time, come home. So he came home, and I started timing them, and they were literally every 5 minutes. And I was and the doctor said, if they're every 5 minutes, call us and come in. And so that's what we did. We came in, and when I came in, waiting for them to get the information and everything took forever. I was in so much pain. I was insane. And they were let's check how much you're dilated. And I was only dilated 2 centimeters. And I'm I don't care. I'm having contractions, and I'm not gonna go back home. I'm in so much pain. It was bad. And they're like, either you can stay here, we can induce you, or we can give you pills and you can go home. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, no pills gonna help me right now. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm just gonna stay here. Like, I need this epidural. Like, I was just like, I had no energy. I couldn't sleep the night before because I was pregnant, and I have no food inside my body. So I'm like, okay, I need this epidural, and thank God I took it because, oh man, oh man, yeah, thank God I took it. Um, but even with the epidural, there's so much trauma and so much pain, like discomfort, and like my body was going through so much pain that that epidural was just a tint of it. And so when we went to, they took us to this other room, and I told them like, I'm staying here, like put the epidural on me, like I can't do this anymore. They put the epidural and it felt so good. I was able to rest because they're like, get some rest and then we'll see how the contractions are going. And they wanted to, I forgot what it's called. It's like this thing that induces you. I forgot. I forgot the name of it. And so I, they were gonna put some like IV fluids or something to get the contraction started. And I guess I was progressing, so they didn't need to induce me. And like they were getting close to every 2-3 minutes. And so I was literally like, getting there. And I started having contractions and they got stronger. And like I was, starting to like, things were getting serious. It turns out that it wasn't going to be that fast. And so they told us to rest. And so I rested, and they're like, okay, your contractions, like, it's time to push. Like, I was in labor. And so I pushed for 6 hours. They only allow 4 hours to push. I pushed for 6 hours, and that baby, I felt it down there. I was like, it's gonna come out. Like, it's like, it's every hour. I would be like, after 4 hours, they start to give you different options like C-section, tongues, vacuum, different ways to get the baby out. And for me, I'm like, I do not want any of those. Those all sound scary, and like, no, like the baby's coming out. Like, guys, just please give me 1 more hour. And I would say that after 4 hours, I would say that, and 2 hours passed later, and they're like, yeah, you're having a fever. I started having a fever, a high fever, and the baby was um my water broke and everything. So the baby, like, and he pooped inside of me too. So that was not good for him to breathe in that. Like, it was just bad. So they're like, yeah, we have to do something. Like, you have to pick because we can't let you push. Because I was literally pushing for 6 hours, guys. I was literally pushing for 6 hours. And on the 6th hour, on the last hour, I decided to have, like, I don't know the exact name, but tons. They're like metal, you know, where you get like, you can pick up salad. They're like tons. Well, this was like huge metal, heavy duty ones, and because they needed help getting the baby out. Like, they could see the baby's head, but it wouldn't come out. So I got a 2-degree tear, and they got it out with the tons. And after that, I got the baby out. But before that, I was literally saying, I can't do this anymore. Like, I was so tired and drained, and I'm like, they're talking to me, like, keep pushing. We literally tried pushing for 6 hours. And they're like, keep pushing this and this. And they were talking to me, and I was like this. And they're like, wake up, like, like stay with us, because I was passing out. Like, I was done. Like, I was literally done. I couldn't push. I couldn't do anything anymore. I literally told them, like, I had no strength, no nothing. I was on jello. I was on jello that day, that morning, um, yeah, that day was like 3 something p.m. actually, not morning, but during the day, afternoon. And at 3:57 or 53 p.m., our little one decided to come out into this beautiful, amazing world. And so he came out, and things took a turn. When he came out, the I looking at him and having like a lot of nurses come in, like a lot. There's about like 20 in there, and seeing like oxygen tubes and all that stuff, and like they were trying to like get him to breathe. I I wouldn't say I prepared myself, but I was trying to like make sure that, you know, if he were to not make it and to leave this world, then, you know, for me to just stay calm. And I see my husband, he came out, my husband was crying so much, like crazy. And I was like, seeing that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, I'm scared. Like, I feel like I'm like high. I'm like, all the epidural starting to go away. Everything's like blurry. I'm just like, I'm, I feel very lightheaded and very drained and tired from 6 hours of pushing and only eating jello and having him barely sleep. And when I saw him, I literally thought he, like I said, passed away. So I kind of like, but I had so much peace in my heart. I had so much peace in my heart because in that moment there were so many people praying. There were so many people praying, and I just want to thank every single one of you guys for praying for me. The child, it's. I'm trying not to tear up. I'm trying to stay strong. Um, but definitely prayers and all your guys' help and encouragement. It definitely helped me go through the hard times of this traumatic birth. But he came out, like I said, and he was on all kinds of tubes and everything because he was not breathing. He needed help breathing and eating, and his arm got injured, and a few other things. But just seeing him in all those tubes and stuff as a mom, when my husband would FaceTime him because I couldn't see him. Like they took him away from me. I didn't have that bond. I didn't have any of that stuff. Um, seeing him, seeing him in the tubes and everything, I was so happy that he's like, you know, alive, that he's breathing and everything. But at the same time, I need to stop. At the same time, you know, he's alive and he's, thank God for, you know, things are more developed now that they were able to get that oxygen tube and the feeding tube because he was, you know, eating from such a traumatic birth and him coming out, not being able to come out and staying for too long and breathing that poop and stuff like that all really was bad for his lungs. And so he needed help when he got out. And so they sent him to the NICU. And when I went to the NICU, seeing all those babies, and there was like 3 pound babies, 2 pound babies, they're so small. I'm like, wow, like mine isn't so bad after all. Um, and but just seeing him all that was so scary. It was so hard. But I had so much peace that surpassed all understanding. And like I said, I felt the prayers like insane. Like people around me are like, Esther, how are you like so strong? How are you not crying? How are you not like so many questions? I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. Like so much peace. Like I was looking back at the pictures today and I'm like, wow, like me and my husband went through a lot with this. But with God's help and your prayers and God's help, it really did help us pass the season of our lives. And when they did x-rays and stuff, a nerve, I guess something happened, a nerve in his arm wasn't working or something. And we were talking to some doctors, retired doctors, that close friends, and he was saying that like it's a miracle if it starts working again. And you know, we believe in a God of miracles, and our God does miracles, the impossible. So I'm grateful that I would heal that fast and that well, and even like heal in general. So the fact that I did, it is a miracle. Um, Fast forward, he was in the NICU for 1 month, not 1 month. almost 1 month. My bad. He was in 28 days or 29 days, something around those lines. And it was really hard because coming, we had to go drive there, come back home, drive there, come back home because we saw him like 2 times a day. And 2 weeks or a week, I think it was like 2 weeks after he was born, he started breathing right. He started breathing well. And so they took him off the oxygen. And the last thing he needed to do before he went home was eating. And he had a hard time eating. That was like the longest part. He didn't want to eat because of the traumatizing experience, and his entrance to the world was very hard. So everything was really weak and it was hard for him. And he had no strength for anything. So that's why he needed help to eat. And so it was a struggle. And there were amazing nurses, but there were some nurses that didn't do their job correctly and didn't care. They just rushed through feeding, and I could go on and on, but I will not. I'm just glad that he's home. But we would go there every 3 hours to feed him. And this is the crazy part, guys. This is when doctors said that for him to be able to go home, he has to be eating 35 ml for 2 days, and then they can take him off the feeding tube, and then he has to eat after that 2 more days above 80%, and then he can come home. And I was like, dang, like with how they're feeding, they don't care. They just feed him a little bit, and they see that he's not really interested in ball, and they stop giving him. But like for him, he needs extra time and burping and everything. Like he's a little different because of what he went through. But obviously, they have a schedule. They don't care much about that. Like for him to stay there more, like more money for them. They don't care as much. And also he would eat better with us. I don't know why he just eat better with us. He like I got so tired of you know them just not feeding him and just having him stay there for weeks and weeks because it was coming to a month. I'm like, you know what, I can't do this. I'm gonna start going there every 3 hours and feeding him. I'd go in my husband would go in the morning, and then I would go after that, and then he would go and I would go just for the day. And one day, I guess he was pulling on his ox eating tube, and he pulled it. Liam, my baby, pulled it out, yanked it out. And that day, the nurse that was on shift, she was so sweet. She was like, you know what? She just decided to take it off. The doctor came the next day. He's like, what's going on? Like, that's not, allowed. So, like, I just believe that's God. I believe that, usually they don't allow that, but somehow, like, the doctor and the nurse, like, they were just, like, chill about it and okay, after the nurse told the doctor, he was kind of like, okay, let's see how he does. If anything, we'll put him back on the feeding tube. So I'm like, okay, this night I'm gonna stay with him and room in. And so we asked him, hey, can we room in? Can we feed him this night? And so that day we came every 3 hours to the hospital, and we don't live so close. But that's beside the point. And at night we stood there, so every 3 hours we fed him, and he was eating fine. He was eating 100% everything. And then they're like, oh, he's doing great. So that means if he does it one more, like if he eats 24 hours the next day, well, he can go home. And I'm like, that's it. We have to make sure we stay there one more night. But I was praying that no one had is reserving the room because there's only one more. So I was like, can we do one more night? Like, we really want to get the hang of it and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, we just wanted him home, and we know him best, and we like knew how to feed him better or just had more time with him and like gave him more time. They wouldn't. They just give him 20 minutes and that's it, which makes sense because then he burns calories after 20 minutes. But he was doing fine. He was gaining weight and everything. So like that worked with him. He just needed more time to eat. But they have rules. And so we stayed the second night, and he did well, and they discharged us. And so on January 2nd, no, not yet. I honestly forgot, but literally 28 days later, 29 days later, after he was born, they discharged him and he went home. And I couldn't believe it when I got in the car with him. I was like mind blown, but all glory be to God. I'm so grateful and thankful, like I said, for all your guys' prayers and support and everything. And for, of course, above all, the Lord, because he did it all, and he is a strong willed warrior. you know, his name, that's the meaning of his name. And I just knew it was meant to be, his name was meant to be Liam because of, you know, like it matches so well with him and what he went through. And I am definitely, you know, mentally a lot better than I was because I was kind of on fight or flight mode. I had peace, but I just kind of didn't. I had a lot of peace, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like I was so busy that I didn't want to think of like, you know, I didn't have time to be sad. But at that time, that chaos, I did have a lot of peace. And that was the beautiful thing, you know, that like that's how amazing our God is. And I just am so thankful. And I'm going to thank Him until the day that I leave this world because my first child is a story and a testimony to all. And I just want to encourage all the mamas that have babies in the NICU or just, you know, um, parents that had a very hard delivery that you are doing such an amazing job and you are such a strong mom. Like, I would have never known if I didn't go through it. Reap, you know, at its own time, and it's beautiful. And even the parents that are not, that don't have NICU babies, still, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing of giving birth that our God has, you know, designed. And now our gift is just so much more special. My boy Liam is just so much more special because of all that. Like, you know, it wasn't easy, but he's a fighter and he will continue to fight and share his testimony, and people around him will start blaming God because of the things, him testifying of God's glory, and all glory be to God. So, so thankful. But yeah, that's kind of the story, my birth story. I am home, he's home, and I am so happy he is. He is 6 weeks on Wednesday. So I'm so excited. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.